Hi there. Hi, Vera. Hello. All right, letting everyone in. Good afternoon. All right, I keep loading people in. Meanwhile, you can all go ahead and give me a little hello in the chat. There we go. Hi there. Some of you guys had just said hello and goodbye to a second ago, and then others of you I haven't seen for a week. How's it going? All right. So I have a request, not a request. I mean, it's logical. Class finishes at 7:15. I should close up at 7:15, but I rarely do. Usually I hang out another quarter, half an hour answering questions. But today I do need to leave because I have to be downtown at 8. Class finishes 7:15. So I can't answer questions after class. So if you have questions, ask me during class. Or if it's a really juicy one, save it till next week. I have, I always say, hey, ask me your questions. And then invariably at the end, someone has a big question that they didn't ask me the whole time. And I am usually happy to answer. Now and then I've been able to, I've had something to do and I can't. So that's today. I am not someone who is a follower of stars and celebrities or anything like that, but today I'm going to go to the film festival and to the different award ceremonies. My son is presenting a movie in the festival, so he's gotten tickets for some of these things, and we've been going to the panels of writers and directors and stuff like that. And today there's going to be one of those at 8. But that means I need to be there in line at 7:30 to get in. And so I need to, 7:15, I'm out of here because somehow or another I'm going to be there in 15 minutes.
What's the title of your son's film this year?
Billiam. It's here. I wrote it. It's kind of weird because it's a combination of William and Bill, and it's got to do with this it's interesting name. And it's because this kid called, I never remember which one's Bill and which is Will, but I think the kid is Will. And then there's a Bill imaginary friend that he uses to get him out of, his parents are divorcing and fighting. And so this imaginary friend helps him kind of block everything out. And so it works when he's 7 years old, but then as he grows, it stops working to block the world out. And so then he needs to break out of that situation. And so anyway, that's the film, and it's Billiam, the combo of both. So yeah, that's showing on Saturday if anyone wants to go see. But yeah, so today's showing, I think, is Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be there talking, which of all stars, that was one that's interesting to me. So I'm excited. But the panels have been awesome. I don't know if anyone here goes to the film festival and watches the movies from all over the world. It's the only chance I get to see movies from Argentina, so I try to go to those, and when I can to others, but since I'm working, there's not that many, but I got to go to a couple movies and to some of these panels, and it's cool considering that's probably my son's future at a place of life. I have to keep connected to that too. All right. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Most people who, I'm seeing a lot of people who aren't here. Some people said they'd had to be late. But anyway.
Ciao, Diana.
Yes.
Do you ever go to the farmer's market on Saturday?
Sometimes, but usually on Saturdays at that time it doesn't work out. But I do sometimes go. Yeah. It's more like a Tuesday farmer's market person. Why?
Well, he's never there on Tuesday. But are you like a semi-organic person, or 50% or 70% or?
99%.
Oh, good. So if you go on a Saturday, the office is right there on the street, the little office, and just one stand in is Casitas Valley Pastured, and they have chicken and turkey and
Sorry, but everyone in my house is vegetarian except for me.
oh, well, so if you need some, he anyway, he's like you.
That's great.
He's an Italiano from Argentina.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, and his name is Geronimo, blah blah. Anyway, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But his family's from Milano. So I was telling him about you. I said, you gotta talk to Diana. You've got like 2 countries in common.
All right.
And nobody in her class knows her name is Diana. They call her Diane, and she will never correct them. She's so placid and blissful, the opposite of me.
Actually, when I'm in person and you're someone I know on a one-on-one basis, I do ask people to call me Diana, but it's
I know.
yeah.
That's the way you are.
I if you're going to be in my regular life, I want my right name. But yeah, in class it's hard. When we're in person, people get it because somehow names are more. But here on Zoom, it seems a little bit more impersonal. And yeah, it's
They
just
don't
that I
know.
say it in Spanish.
They
but
don't
thank
know
you.
that I is E in Italian and E is I in Italian.
Yeah,
So
I'm not Italian. I'm from Argentina, but my heritage is from Italy
Yeah.
and Spain and France. And so yeah, we say Diana because it's in Spanish, but it would be the same in Italian. Yeah. So
Yeah.
guys. Here I was in the class this morning talking a little bit about genealogy, and here we're talking about this again when I don't think I've ever spent any minutes talking about this with any of you guys. So somehow it must be that kind of day where we need to
That kind
talk
of day.
about our heritage somehow. All right. So guys, I'm seeing no one else coming in, which surprises me. I don't know. I didn't get that many messages of people not coming, but let's do something totally different today. We're going to start editing our photos. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Up until now, we've been organizing them, figuring out how to put them in places that I can find them easily again. We can keep talking more about that. I think we could delve deeper into some of those conversations. But we have, oh, I'm seeing Catherine's question. Yes, that's true. Got it. By the way, can everyone sign into the chat first? Suzanne, oh, you went to see my son's film 1 year. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, go again. It's free Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Arlington Theater. It's a competition called 10-10-10. And yeah, I can't show the movie ahead of time because it's a competition, so they can't be published until after the movie, but it's high school and college students who were chosen to create a film just for this situation, and they have script, they write the scripts and then someone directs them, but my son was chosen to be both, so he wrote the script and he directed his own movie. So in his case, it's both. And they're 10-minute movies, and there's 10 of them. So there's 10 10-minute movies that you get to see from 2 to 4, and then you get to see them. And he won twice already. He won as a filmmaker and as a scriptwriter. So this year we'll see. But this year he wrote it in high school, but then COVID happened, and then he didn't get to print it. So now this year that he finally filmed it, he's in the first year of college. So he didn't want to take the kudos for high school because, then it's an unfair competition according to him. And he already won that. So now he's applying. This is written in high school, but filmed in college. So he's going to participate as a college student. So we'll see. Because he really is in the first 3 months of college, but he thought it was more fair. So he's in the college competition. So the movie shall be, I will show you the movie if you don't make it on Saturday. After class next week, I can play it. But if you can go there, it's much more fun to go there and see everyone's work and support all these budding artists. And they're really, sometimes there's some good movies in there. So, and some, I mean, they're all good because they have mentors. I mean, it's really amazing. It's not like when you go to a kid's school play, that's usually like, yeah, it's more like a good version. These are good movies. Let me just say that we have been working with organizing files and curating them in the sense of what you want, what you don't want, how to delete them, what to do. Let me show really quickly that under the recently deleted stuff that I had deleted at the very beginning of class is already gone because the 29 days went away and this one has only 1 day left. And that just means that it's about to disappear because I deleted them the first day of class and more than a month has gone by. So there's nothing there. So I've had nothing to do and they've slowly been disappearing. And this is the last one left. So it says this might take up to 40 days depending, but 29 days is what they really tell you it's going to take. People, that's the last thing we did last week. And I wanted you guys to try out how that worked with you guys at home with bigger libraries. And actually at the end, Catherine, you told me that yours was asking you the whole, oh, is this one this one that? And I wanted to show that. But by then the class was over. Did anyone else get that chance to get the whole add more faces? Did anyone else get that? And did it work for you? Did you find it finding many more faces? Does anyone not know what I'm talking about? Where you went into a name that it found for you and then you went down to the bottom and said confirm additional photos. I have such a small amount of photos that it doesn't work for me, but I wanted people to do that. Any questions, anything that did or did not work? I need to bring down a second here. I have a little blind that I pulled down to separate me ineffectually as it can be from the living room from people walking by. It's just less distracting because I'm in my living room. No questions there? All right, let me see if someone wrote. All right.
Deanna, I'm not saying that very well, but the one question I had is that I did add a couple of friends who I didn't have there before, and it was going to go look for their pictures, and it said it'll, and you mentioned this last week, it'll collect those pictures when you put
After
the background. How do you keep photos in the background? Can I put my laptop to sleep or no?
Yeah, so let me reshare my entire screen instead of just my photos up. So say that this is photos, right? And it's told me that it needs to work when I'm, when it's in the background. Basically what it means is don't quit the program, right? So say that I now open the internet, right? And I start working on something on the internet or something. It's in the background. Now it can be open like that, or I can even be hiding it, like I can minimize it, or I can leave it open, but it's still processing because it's not turned off. Okay. So the important thing is that the program has this little dot on it. I can be opening and doing 25 other things, but it's still open. And that's the time it uses to process. That's considered being in the background. If you do put the computer to sleep, I don't know Photos itself, what it does. I would have to check, but some applications in the sleep still work in the background and some don't. In this case, does that process still work? I would have to Google it and to see if the People's still analyzes a library.
I think it may not, because I always put my laptop to sleep and it didn't. It's still, I just opened it now and it still had that same message. Now I may have closed out Photos, but if I left Photos open and put the laptop to sleep, perhaps it works.
I'm Googling it. What means photos in the background? People finish. Will Mac upload files is I just know which is the best answer, but let's see. Does upload files when sleeping? This is the photos up, not scanning faces, what the photos in the background mean. App is open and the computer is awake, but it's not the front application. Yeah, so the computer has to be awake. Okay, meaning you can't put it to sleep. So
Okay,
there you
thank
go. If it's sometimes some processes do keep happening when the computer is asleep, but I guess that one takes enough power that it can't happen when it's asleep. So just don't put it to sleep, which if you can force it for a while not to sleep by going to the system preferences and going into the power area, and you can actually energy saver and you can tell it do not go to sleep, right? And so maybe for a day you don't put it to sleep, like, because even if you don't put it to sleep, after 15 minutes your computer is set to go to sleep, and so then it only processes it for 15 minutes. But if you purposely go here and tell it not to go to sleep, then it finishes all the processing, and then when you're done with that, you can have it go to sleep automatically again. So that's a system preferences thing. Otherwise, it would take quite a while. Or if you use your computer for a long time, say you work on it for 2 hours, as long as the application is open for those 2 hours, it continues processing, right? But it needs to have the app not be gone, not be quit, nor the computer be asleep.
That's helpful. Thank you, Deanna.
No, you're welcome. Good question. So now another question that came up before I go straight into editing photos that Catherine asked me in the other class. Remember last week I showed you about the pictures folder that was here? And now, Suzanne, you mentioned again that you couldn't remember how to get rid of it. I don't have it here, but so let me go grab it. So with my pictures folder, hold on, was here, right? And this is a little bit of like what I just showed people in the other class. Over here, what you get is things that are more necessary. You need to access all the time. And we definitely don't want to access the pictures folder all the time, especially once it's empty and you've gotten rid of anything other than the photos library. So then to get rid of it from here, you just grab it and just drag it out until you see that little X. And when you let go, it disappears. Now I'm going to leave it there for a second because the other question that Catherine had was she has two iPhotos library, not photos library, but iPhotos library. Her question a couple of questions ago. People who should the questions appear when you sign into class. So if you signed in after she asked it, you don't see it. So let me relate. She said, I have two iPhoto libraries on my laptop, and one is dated 1/8/21 and 1/8/20. So one is from the year 21 and was year 20. It says, I'm assuming I need to keep both. Well, I wouldn't assume that. It could be that they're copies of each other. It could be that you have more photos. So look at the size. Is the size totally different? Does it have one more years of photos or not? That would matter. And then what I would do is when you had those iPhoto libraries, they are not from those 2 years. Unless you updated your computer at that point. iPhotos has been gone for many, many years. So what were you using? Were you in an operating system that was very old up until 2021?
No. And I just went to click on that folder to open up my photos, and I think it might be my entry date. They're different sizes, but can I share my screen just so you can see what I've got, just to be sure I'm not.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. The iPhotos, when the operating system stopped using iPhotos and switched to the Photos application, which I believe happened in Yosemite, or I don't remember anymore when it happened. Then your iPhotos library, the day you tried to open it, it said, oh, wait a minute, we're transferring. And it took all that material and it created a photos library. So now the iPhotos library and the photos library are duplicates of each other. Only from there on, you continue with your photos library. So rarely does someone have an iPhotos library and then you started from zero with the photos library. Usually all that stuff has already been sucked into the photos library and then your iPhotos becomes a copy. You know what I mean? Only
Gotcha.
It's a copy that's got the old stuff in there. So in this case, both are.
And yeah.
I put it in the chat last week, but I guess you didn't see it. iPhoto ended June of 2014.
I did see it, but I had forgotten. I don't know what OS that means. So 2014, I have the handout, so I could probably find out what 2014 means because I actually was just organizing handouts. So let me go for a second, since in the Mac class handouts, I do have that.
And
The versions of Catalina. I'll open that. Huh. So-
this is on my
Doesn't
laptop. It
matter.
has Catalina. That's what I'm using. But now
Yeah.
I'm looking at this
So-
wondering,
So here's the thing, of the two iPhotos library that you have here, my concern is are you opening anything from here ever? Like, do you ever open these files, or do you
I
just
never
go
touched
to?
them until recently in this class.
Okay,
I don't think.
so,
I don't know.
okay, so on the left side, and you're in my other class, and I see you still have movies and pictures, so you haven't gotten rid of them, and you don't have anything else. So this is the kind of stuff that I would say, get rid of the pictures from the sidebar, because you don't have anything else to move out of the way. And when you click on the photos library little icon, the little flowery icon, hopefully it's opening the photos library and not the iPhotos. Not hopefully, I mean, for sure, because that icon is the icon of the photos library. Now, the thing that I'm more concerned about is how similar in size they all are. They're all about 40 or so gigs. And my question is, since the iPhotos library was last used till now, that's many years. Did you only gain 4 gigabytes of apps in all those years, of photos in all those years? Do you not take many photos? Do you
No,
not
I
put much
take
stuff?
tons of photos. I've got like 35,000 photo. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
right.
So that's why I don't understand why the sizes, you know what I'm trying to say?
Except
Because
for
if
I've
you
been
haven't-
deleting some, but I don't know. Yeah.
Like your iPhotos library should be at this point much smaller than your photos library. See how the iPhotos library, one is called photos library, and the other is called migrated photo library?
Yeah, I
That
wondered about that.
migrated photo library, then it turned into a photos library. So the second one underneath is called iPhoto library, photos library. So it's already a photos library, right? So what I would say is, if when you open the app, it would technically, hopefully only open the photos library.
You
But
mean
what-
the one on the side, the cursor that's in my doc statement?
Yeah,
that's
so
called
go
photos.
ahead right now and open the third one, the one that's called
sorry.
photos library. Just double click
Sorry,
on it.
I'm sorry, hit the wrong thing.
Double click, no, don't, yeah, double click from here, the bottommost one, which is technically the newest one, and the one that you should, I would say, be using. And let's see when it opens up. And you're
It-
only sharing your Finder window, you're not sharing the whole desktop. So I
Oh,
don't
it's
see what's
saying you are
opening up.
opening the library photo for the first time. Are you sure you want to open this library?
So then this is not the one that you've been using. You've been working on a different one. So go ahead and say cancel.
Okay,
And now double click on the middle one. I just don't know. Now, again, it would be better if you were to share, but anyway, the middle one, the one that says photos library. Yeah.
Today?
That says today, double click on that one.
I just opened, yeah, I opened that. It says you're opening the library. Are you sure you want to do that? I want to say cancel,
Okay,
right?
cancel again and open the third one, then the iPhoto library. Double click on that one.
Cannot open migrated library. The
Okay, so
content
that's the old stuff for sure.
has already
Okay.
been migrated to photos, it says.
Okay, so basically the photos, the two first ones that you have are copies of each other.
Okay,
Okay, so that if you want to get rid of 40 gigs from your computer, the first one can go, right? Because then the second one is a copy of it. But
Because
I'm
it's
concerned that you're
migrated.
saying that now the one's opening. So now go to the icon the way you normally open the program and double open that there and see what is opening.
you mean
up.
the photos icon?
Yeah, the little app. But see, you're not sharing at that, so it doesn't help us. Since
Okay,
you're not sharing that, we can't do
so-
anything about it. You need to tell me.
All right, so I need to stop the share, then open it again under photos and you'll be able to see it, I think.
Yeah. So
Okay,
guys, I'm gonna just do this and then stop because I want to keep doing something that everyone has, but this is the conversation we had about that pictures folder is only conducive to problems, right? So ideally, get rid of all the stuff that's in there other than your photos libraries, and then just forget about it and don't use all those files anymore. Are you sharing yet? No.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, you know, how you open windows and then you had to move screens down, and there we go, screen share. Here we go. Okay. Share. Okay.
Mhm.
And
All
then,
right. So so you opened your photos library, which is this one. Is this the one you've been working on? Do you recognize all
yeah,
of
this
this
is the one
stuff?
I always use for everything.
Okay, go for a second up to next to the apple. You'll see the word photos. Can you go to the preferences?
Next to the apple on my main screen up top.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Next to the word photos. No,
Mhm.
not about this map. Click on no, you're not in the photos app. Click on your photos app. Yeah, okay, now go up to the word photos by the apple.
Oh, sorry,
and-
but okay.
Yeah, and then click on the word photos and bring down the preferences.
Click preferences.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Go to general. There's two tabs there. Go to the general tab.
I've got
Okay,
my,
so this is your system's photos library, and then it's telling you that's the file. It's the photos library dot photos library. So that's the one that you're using. Okay. See how it says library location,
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
pictures, photos library dot photos library. That's
Mhm.
the one that you have open, and this is your valid good one. Got it?
Yep.
So when you go back now to your Finder, which is right behind, you don't need to close, just click right, and right behind that I see the yeah. And so of all of those, the one that's the good one is the bottommost one. This
Okay.
top one has been migrated into the second one, right? So that one you should be able to get rid of. And then that second one technically should be where then you began to work on in the past. I would recommend at some point opening it, and I can show you how to open it in a different way
Okay,
to
so
see
I,
if the stuff is old.
and what about it? Is it living in Adobe here?
No. Well,
Okay.
it shouldn't. But
Okay,
Adobe
so I can
is
get rid of
on-
this top one.
Yeah.
I
mhm,
can trash it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm looking at two screens. Okay, all right.
And then that
then I
one, now it makes sense. See how now it's 29 gigs versus 44. So that makes more sense.
Okay,
That's your old one. And if you want to keep it fine, if all the photos from the past have been migrated, you don't need to even have that second one. But meanwhile, if you want to keep it just in case, you can get rid of that pictures icon from there and not.
and I can
mess
just
around.
move pictures off of my Finder so I don't ever mess with this again, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
so
that
grab,
true? I can
yeah,
grab
so
it
grab that pictures thing. Yeah, and then just drag it out. And
into the
get rid of
ethers.
that, yeah. And then movies, if you click on movies and you have nothing else there that other than the movies app,
Oh,
you
I
can
have
get rid of that
movies.
too.
Yeah, I got that.
Uh,
there.
was the
Okay,
one.
I'll come back to that. Thank you in a different class. Thank you so much. Sorry.
You're
to take
welcome.
time.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's in part, that's when people get into there is where you start getting into real problems. And so it's ideal to not get into that, window. And so that I do want this class to know. If they do have that window in the Finder, getting rid of it is the best thing they can do. Okay, so cool. Let me just see if any other questions came in. Other questions, hide pictures. No video, June. Okay. So Yolanda, you're asking me that you can't see the sidebar on the photos or under documents. So that's just go up to view and say show sidebar. But right now I'm not working on the Finder. That was the other class. So ask me again. By the way, those of you who showed up a little bit late, I was just saying that I'm today at 7:15. I need to run. So if you have to ask me questions during the class or hold it until next week. Okay. I won't teach past the end of the class. All right. Yeah.
So when you told me hit view, the only thing that came out was close managed participants and then show chat.
No, because you're doing Zoom view. You have to have your Finder open, the one that you say isn't showing you the sidebar. So you click on the Finder window.
That's all on the Finder window. All that came out is it came from your class, and I ended on the the documents, and I
Mhm.
cannot get back to the
Okay,
sidebar.
so guys, let me share my entire screen. This is really important for you guys to understand that whatever shows up here under view depends on what it says there. So if what you have open is Zoom, the view only shows you things like manage participants. If you have selected photos, the view shows you photo stuff. If you have a Finder window open, the Finder view shows you stuff. So you always need to have something selected, see the name, and that view depends on that program, right? So click on your Finder window, the one that you say has the sidebar gone. Make sure it says Finder there. Click on the Finder window for it to say Finder, then that view will let you show your sidebar. Okay.
That's all that came out is
Does it say Finder right there? If it doesn't say Finder,
Finder is near the apple.
if you have the word Finder next to the apple, then that view will allow you to show or hide your sidebar. And to get that Finder there,
Oh,
you need
okay.
to click
Yeah,
on the
okay.
Finder window.
Okay,
Now,
thank you so much.
When you click on the Photos window, that view has to do with the Photos window. So now, when you have the photos there, this is what I was showing Catherine to do. So I want to show everyone to do. Make sure that your Photos is the main app. Thus, the little word here next to the apple is the word Photos. Click on there and go to Preferences. 'Cause I wanna
Preference.
So that these preferences now are the preferences for the Photos app. Otherwise, you have preferences for the Finder, the preferences for Zoom and stuff like that. And we just want preferences for the Photos app right now.
Okay.
So this is for everyone now. I'm showing you the preferences for the Photos app. Now, when you look here at the library location, it tells you where your Photos library is. And I hope that for 99.9% of you guys, what should show up here, library locations, it should say your name, then it should say pictures, and then here it will have the name of the Photos library that you are currently using. And the important thing is that this thing that says use the system photo library should be grayed out. If it's grayed out, that's good. If it's not grayed out, then that means that you're not getting the photos from the iCloud into your photos. So say that you did turn on all the iCloud and all those things where you want the photos to go from your phone straight in, then this one has to be your system photos library. When it's grayed out, that means it's correct. This is your system photos library. If you were to have open one of the other ones, some of you who have other libraries like Catherine just showed, then this would be black and available be deselected. And if you selected, then you're turning that next one into your system photos library. And that's where all the photos go from your iCloud or from your, for those of you who use the, I'm forgetting the name of when you don't transfer through the cloud, but your photos go through, I'm having a blank here. I need to see the name of it because.
PhotoStream?
PhotoStream, thank you, PhotoStream. I'm getting confused, the Google PhotoStream, so the PhotoStream. So it only works if the photos library that you're using is the system photos library, and how you confirm is by seeing this be grayed out. If this is grayed out, this is your system library. Okay, so is everyone seeing this one grayed out? If so,
Are you showing your
good.
screen? Am
yeah,
I- Okay.
this that I'm moving around, this is what I'm wanting you to look at. Let me put,
Oh, now I can see it.
and
Okay.
this here is what I'm saying should be grayed out like that. Like you should not see it. If you see it looking like that, which is very bright, that means it's selectable. That means that you're not using your system photos library. So this is what you want. Okay. I just want to catch anyone who says, no, mine is not grayed out. And if so, then you would have to select it. But okay, no one seems to be having that problem. So that's good. I was helping Yolanda the other day, and we had to work with getting rid of some old libraries and stuff, and then to make sure that the current one is the one that's the system photos library. Then you take a picture, that picture through the photo stream or through the cloud, ends up in your computer. Okay. Now, there's other choices you can make here, such as copy items to the photos library when you import them. And this is important to some people because if you want to bring in photos from other places, and again, this is a conversation at the level of people who understand having multiple drives with extra photos selected. So if that's not you, and this whole file management thing is beyond your comprehension right now, then please don't ask me to explain it in an easier way. I'm just going to explain it to people who, there's like quite a few of you guys who do know what I'm talking about. So say that you were to bring in from another hard drive some photos, import them into this library. If you want them to go up into the cloud, this should be connected. If you don't, if you want to keep them just in this computer, then this has to be off, okay? Because that makes a difference to how big your photos libraries is. If you import, if you only want the photos that go up to the cloud to be the ones from your phone, this has to be off. If this is on, then any photos that you import in here, say photos of from, I'm guessing like Deborah who's doing genealogy, if she brings in photos that, you know, she got from other places, not from her phone, into her photos library, and this is on, then this then copies itself back up to the cloud, and then it becomes something that she can access on her phone as well and stuff like that. Does that make sense? So this guy is important into whether you want things to go also upwards versus only downwards, so to say. All right. All right. So that's just stuff that I wanted to show you. Some people, remember I told you how memories is not a big deal for me. I don't like it. So memories kind of pops up as a, ooh, there's a new memory for you. And I told you the story of my girlfriend whose son died, who loves that every now and then she gets a little, ooh, there's a new memory for you. And she finds a video of her son or something. But if you don't want that, you can also turn this off and then memories doesn't bug you. So that's just choices that you make right here. Okay, I just wanted to show you a couple of things in here. And the same with holidays, it might come up with, ooh,
Diane,
Christmas or Thanksgiving or, you know, Easter or something like that related to holidays. Yeah.
Diane, your reset suggested memories was active. Mine was great, but it said reset blocked memories. So what does it mean? What's the difference between blocked memories and suggested
Did you block?
memories? See,
Huh. I've never seen, did you block a memory? Like if you went to memories, did you ever?
no, I did not do anything, but I
Block a
see
memory?
in your screen, all of those were active. Like you had a check on show holiday, and then you have a check on memories, and
I
then,
didn't. No, I didn't. These were on. This is the default
and then the
setting.
reset is also active. Mine was grayed on the
I don't know. Maybe if I don't know. If I click on this, does it reset these? Actually, I don't know. Let me try it. I'm going to click on that. Resetting will allow previously blocked people, places, dates, or holidays to once again be included in the new memories. That's what it is. Okay, so I guess it's possible to block someone. And now I'm thinking, okay, so you have photos of your boyfriend that you don't see anymore. Maybe you can go and block that person from showing up from people. I didn't know you could do that. Let me see. Can I guess I can unfavorite or remove. I didn't know you could block. And
I
then
didn't
here
do
you can unblock it. You're talking about something that I'm guessing. I don't know. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to look it up because I did not know you could block someone or block a memory. So I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's the whole like unfavorite is the same as blocking. I don't know. So if I say reset, will it say that I suddenly get back together with my boyfriend again? And now I want to reset so that I can begin to have memories that include my boyfriend. I don't know. I'm guessing. So that's as far as I'm going to go with that one because I don't know. I assume it's something like that. You know what, where you do block people is like in the contact. Okay. I'm beginning, see, now I'm using all my knowledge of the Apple system. You can block a contact, you can block, you know, emails from someone, you whatever, as long as that person is in your contact book and you block them, then they block all across the apps. Okay, I get where it's coming. So say that this is a person that I don't want to hear from anymore. If I have them in my contacts, and now I'm talking about the whole Apple ecosystem, the stuff I teach in my math classes. If I go to my contacts and block that one to not email me anymore, not message me anymore, I have a feeling that that's what it means, that then that person's photos, if I name them here, then those person's photos don't populate my memories anymore. But if I unblock them, then they may make them a memory where maybe that person will appear in my Christmas photos versus a memory where that person doesn't appear in my Christmas photos. Okay, so how it can do that so intelligently, I don't know, but I guess that's what happens. It kind of across the system gets rid of that person. And I'm only giving you that example because, to say the truth, when my mom got divorced, guess what? I have bazillions of photos where this person that ended up with my father had been cut out. So I have so many photos and photo albums where there's little holes of this person, not my dad. She left my dad there, but there's a woman shaped hole in a lot of my photos of that time. And so I can see how that could be something that people would do, block them out. Now you do it digitally. You just block this person from your memories, right? Anyway, so back to so if you still had your photos preferences up,
So
I just wanted to
Diana?
show you that. Yeah.
Would content fill in Photoshop take care of that?
Would what? Content fill? Yeah. There's a thing in Photoshop where you can just like make photos. He's in my Photoshop classes, where you can select something and have it like you're on the beach with the person you don't want to see, and you select that area and boom, suddenly some sand and some ocean comes in to cover that person up, right? So it magically disappears.
I'm thinking of the reverse. They could put the person back in for you.
Well,
I'm kidding.
you'd have to bring it
joke.
from another. In the past, you would have to just photocopy it in. There's a little bit of retouching we can do here in this app. I'm going to show you that now. It's nowhere near as much as you can do in Photoshop. So to find out what Ed's talking about, take my Photoshop classes. All right. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to show you. The important thing in here. Now, let's close this little thing off again of the preferences, and we're back in our app. And so now I'm going to share only this app so that we don't have the entire window, which is much easier. All right, so whoops, whenever I need to take my little annotate, my little spotlight, there we go. Okay, so what I told you I was going to do today is we were going to start figuring out how to edit these photos. So I assume you've kept working on doing albums and organizing and stuff like that. Most of the organizing that we've done is going to be just, I recommend starting with the current photos and then slowly moving your way backwards over the years if you have a very long library, because then if you start from the back, you'll never catch up. And I'll let you keep working on that. Ask me questions over the next, few weeks while we still have classes. But what I want us to do now is to say, okay, how can I make my photos better? How can I edit these photos and make them better? So now what I asked you to do at the beginning, but I hadn't taught you how to do an album, was to make an album and to fill it up with photos to be edited. So I didn't remember to repeat that last week, but I made a little album here, an empty album called To Be Edited. And whenever I find a photo that could be made better in one way or another, you can throw it in there because you all have your own photos. Now, what kind of making better do I mean? Photos that are crooked, photos that are dark, photos that maybe you want to do some retouching of some kind or another, or photos where you just want to enhance, like I want to enhance the colors of this sunset, right? So just go ahead and make a new album plus new, call it To Be Edited, right? And then as we speak, as we talk, put some stuff in there. And in between last week and this week, I began putting some of my photos in here, photos that I want to work on to edit them. And sometimes it's as subtle as I look at this photo and, it's fine. It looks fine enough, but could I make it better on their face? Could I make it better in one way or another? Or you don't know if it can be better, but you want to ask me if it can be made better. Okay. So just throw it in there. And then I can tell you which things can or not, which things are within the realm of this application and for which ones you actually need Photoshop. So a minute, people coming in. All right. So for example, if I look at this photo, it looks a bit crooked. So then throw it in there. If I look at a photo that I want to crop something out because I don't like something, throw it in there. In fact, this one looks a bit crooked, so that's a perfect example. Let me throw it in there and to be edited. Okay, so look at stuff, and when you find it, because like, look at that. This is the same moment, and look at the different color of the light. So this moment and this moment, and so maybe I want one to imitate more of the other. Throw it in there. All right. So I'll let you keep filling that up. And now, in order for us to start working, what I'd like is if you can try to find a photo amongst all your photos that might need to be cropped or straightened. Okay, so go up and down on your photos. And if you don't find one that truly needs to be cropped or straightened, then anything will do. We will unstraighten it. We just kind of scroll a little bit up and down and find something that could bear with some cropping, and then put it in them to be edited, and then we'll work on that. Okay. So if I look at this photo here, I see how it's kind of falling sideways. This one could probably be straightened. I'll throw it in there. Okay. Good. Now, I'm going to head into the to be edited. I'm going to open up an example of something that can be cropped. Now notice, first of all, that the folder is called to be edited, but none of these photos are showing me that they have been edited. How do I know that? Because when a photo is edited, it will have a little marker here. That means that it's been edited. So let me go to the album that I made originally when I was showing you smart albums, and me click on the ones that are edited. And here's what I mean. That one there, that little kind of icon is what it will show if it's been edited. Notice that it shows you in this mode. When I select this and go up, you might see it a bit better. It's over there. That means that it's been edited. Okay. Now, sometimes it's not been edited by me, but it's been edited in camera. So this is a photo that's been edited in camera because it's been taken with portrait mode. And in camera, I put some blur. Who knows what I did here? I was testing that. So even though I didn't edit it yet in the computer nor in the phone, it shows me that little icon, although this editing happened in the moment of taking this picture. In the moment of taking this picture, I probably changed the focus to give me this shallow depth of field, and then I clicked. So this photo has not been touched by me since, yet it is showing me those little lines. And that's because I did that in camera during the moment I took the picture. Does that make sense? So it's also considered editing it. Now, here I have, did you all find a photo that you might want to crop or that you can crop? So here's an example of a photo that if I hit the space bar, I look at it and I go, oh yeah, I probably can crop. It's a bowl of soup, but then you see the open microwave, which on top of that is showing some dirty, crummy stuff. And there's some spots here. So yeah, I want to crop this microwave out of it, right? So I'm going to work on that one to start with. So did y'all find something you can crop? It doesn't need to be a good photo, bad photo. And this is the important thing. Please hear me. This is not permanent. If you don't like what you do, you undo it. So don't worry that you might ruin a photo, okay? Because whatever we're going to do right now, all the editing, every single thing that you do in the editing in the Photos app is completely reversible. Totally, totally reversible. Always. There's nothing here that causes permanent damage. So to edit this photo, you can either double click the photo to enter the editing mode, or there was a shortcut that I'm suddenly forgetting. I'm completely forgetting what the shortcut for, I don't know why. I'm drawing a blank. I guess my brain is somewhere else. There was a shortcut for opening it straight into editing mode, but the best way is just double click on it. It gets bigger. The first double click or hit the space bar, right? And then, because when it's in this mode, there's nothing available to edit. The only editing you can do is going from landscape to horizontal. So like this photo, I could go to this little icon right there and flip it. See how it went from horizontal to forgetting the name. Why am I having so many blanks? I guess I'm distracted. Landscape to portrait photo. That's what it's called. I call them horizontal and vertical. I never understood why landscape and portrait are named that way, because you can have landscapes that are vertical and portraits that are horizontal. So to me, landscape and portrait don't mean the same as horizontal and vertical. It's just my thing. So Yolanda, you're saying how about a crumpled face, lighting not good? Yeah, we're going to go through different options. Right now, I just want to show you how to crop. So open anything and crop it. It doesn't matter. Open a junky photo, a good photo, doesn't matter. So
Deanna,
yeah,
what does freeform mean when you crop?
what do you mean by freeform? What are you
I
talking
don't know.
about?
It says went into crop and I straightened it.
Oh, I'm not there yet, so don't ask me
Oh,
ahead of time.
sorry.
And I do know what you mean now when you're in cropping. I didn't out here. I
Okay.
didn't know what you were
Okay.
talking about. All right, so I'm going to crop this photo. So I make it bigger either by double clipping or hitting the space bar. And now I have two choices here in this mode. One choice is, well, three choices that are part of editing. One choice is this one, which allows me to rotate it, which in this case, I didn't need it. So I'm going to keep clicking until I get it back to normal. I didn't need it for this photo, but I could just do that here and nothing else. Another one is to click on this little magic wand kind of shape. If I click on the magic wand, the computer says, oh, let me see if I can fix it for you. And it does it automatically. And let's give it a try. Whatever photo you have, click on the magic wand. And I don't know if you noticed, but a little shift happened. I'm going to click on it again. Right there, it tells me now it's being edited and it's a little bit brighter. I click on it again and it's not bright anymore. So did you see that little shift in brightness? That's what this computer thinks this photo needs. A little bit, click on it. Once you see there's little lines there. So it's pretty subtle, right? And it's so subtle on your photo, you might have seen a huge shift or not a shift. The only reason I'm showing you this here is because I don't want us to use this, but the only way to know if you have it on or off is to see whether those little markers are there. If it's a very big shift, you will notice automatically, but if it's not a big shift, then you will notice, because if it's there, I want you to get rid of it. You get rid of it how? By clicking on that again. And now you're back to the original photo. Okay. And now let's go into the actual edit mode. Click on edit. All right. So most of you, when you go into edit mode, what you will see, I believe, is something like this, right? Do you see light, color, and black and white open like that? I believe if you haven't used it before, that's the default setting. And then here on the left side, you have adjust, filters, and crop, right? Okay, so this is the default setting. Again, that guy is still there for you to click on if you want, and then turn off if you don't want. So that's the difference that happens in mine, on and off. So let's leave it off. In this photo, what I want to do first is, and I recommend everyone do this to all their photos. First, go ahead and see whether it's in focus, because you might not see it until you move this into 100%. So how do you do that? See this little minus and little zoom slider. If you click on the plus here, it takes you to this point called 100%. So there's a plus and a minus right there. This is called fit. It fits the whole photo in your window. When you click on 100%, the photo might not fit in your window anymore, but it's viewed at this level, which allows you to see if you were to print this photo, if it's in focus or not. And if you notice, this here is very sharp and in focus, but look at this part of the rim. It's not. So this is a very shallow depth of field. That's still fine, but you might find that if it's a portrait, you want to make sure that the face that you want is in focus. So you can click on your mouse, see how it's a little hand, and drag it around to see the important parts of your photo, to see if the important parts of your photo are in focus. Okay. If you find that, yeah, it's good enough, you can get even closer if you want. But when you get closer like that, everything looks icky and murky and wrong, because you've gone beyond what's a good idea. You're seeing everything softened and out of focus, and that's pixelated. And that has nothing to do with the photo being bad. You've expanded it too much. Okay. So hit minus, 100% is where you want to check it for quality. If you say, yeah, it's good enough, I'm going to work on it, then you can go back minus, and you can now have the whole photo that you're going to work with in view. Okay, so that's how you go up and down. You could also, if you like the shortcuts, command plus, plus, and command minus, 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 that makes it bigger and smaller. So any of you who's accustomed to my Photoshop classes, command plus, command minus, all across the Mac helps you zoom in and zoom out. Okay. All right. So now that I'm done, I know that I want to work with it. I'm aware that up here where it says adjust means that this is where I can adjust the lighting and all that stuff. I don't want to right now adjust lighting. The second one is filters, gives me choices of filters that I can make a look cuter or not. I don't want that. I want the third one, says crop. So let's click on crop. And again, if you don't have a photo that you need to crop anything, because this is, we will undo it. Okay, I'll show you how to undo it. So I don't care if it's a photo that you don't want to crop. All right, so when you get to crop, you have two choices. This crop is also where you straighten the photo. So you can crop and straighten from this same place. All right, so in order to straighten it, you have this little kind of circle appearing. And this photo could take some straightening. If it needs to be straightened, you should straighten it before you crop. This photo is looking a little bit like the bowl's falling sideways. So I can click in here, drag, and click up or down to get it to change its angle. So I'm clicking here with my mouse and I'm dragging up. And so when I click, the program appears to have some grid lines that might help me in case I have a horizon or something. It can help me find the straightness. So I'm actually going to go ahead and leave it somewhere around here because I think that's a bit more accurate. It looks straighter now than it did before. And then you can put your mouse in here if you want to still move it up and down a little bit, but that seems to have straightened it. Notice though that when I straighten something, it also kind of crops. So now, because in order to straighten it has to lose stuff that's from the edges. So if I crop it this much, I'm losing a bunch of photo in here. When I try to straighten it, see how all that photo comes in again, right? So anyway, if you've messed it up so that you don't even know what's straight or what's not straight and you have no idea, you want to start again, see this little revert to original right there? Click revert to original and you go back to the beginning. Okay, because sometimes you're not sure, you've messed something up. Now that you're back to the beginning, revert to original has disappeared because you're at original again. So now you start again until you find a position that you like for straightening. And once you're happy with the straightening, now you can crop. So you can go over here and grab these little corners and bring them down. So someone said something about freeform. This is freeform. I'm just cropping based on what I like it. That's all. There's no proportion. I have no idea if this is going to fit into my 4x5 frame or in my 8x10 frame or in my 5x7 frame. There's no proportion to this. It's just what looks good around this bowl. Does that make sense? That's freeform without any particular care taken. I have no idea proportionally how this might end up. When I do want a proportional crop, then I'll show you what that means. But for now, I'm doing a free-form crop. I'm saying, okay, I want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of that. I straightened it. Maybe I need to straighten a little bit more. Once you like what you have, you can just say done. Okay, so go ahead. There's much more we can do, but let's say done for a second. Then you can hit your space bar and there you go. Now this is the photo that you have. Now, as you can see, it has those little lines there. Before I move forward, was everyone able to make a crop of some kind? As I said, don't worry if it's bad. I'll show you now how to go fix it or redo it or undo it. Just make a crop. Y'all got a crop there? Give me a little yes. There's a lot of you guys with your videos off today, so which is fine. But if you have I want to know if you've done it. I'd like to get some little yeses. When your video is off, you have to be really good about giving me yeses or nos or stuff like that so that I can actually see what's happening with you guys, okay? With your, with the work. By the way, Betsy and Andrea and Alan, if you have a chance to put your last names there over your videos, if you don't know how to, let me know and I can do it for you. but I need your last name so that later you show up in the roster as having attended. All right, cool. So I'm getting a few yeses. Alan, I'm not hearing from Tracy or Betsy or Andrea or anyone. So if you guys have, oh, got it. No problem. I just still, let me go ahead and rename you. I just need the names for the roster purposes. You appear as not you. So I'm just, oh, you already did that. Okay. And I'm going to put in Alan's in there. I'm going to add his last name. Give me a second here. Cool. It's fine, by the way, to have your videos off, to be listening, to be doing it. That's not the issue. I just need your names for. All right. So here's my video. No, sorry, my photo. And it's been cropped. And now I can go, let me see. I want to do something more to it. Or I want to undo that crop, or I want to crop it differently. So what I need to do once again is to first get it big. So that's why the first either hit the space bar or first double click on it, because notice that nothing says edit here. From this mode, I can't edit it. I need to have it big, and then the edit shows up. Once it's big, I hit edit. And now I'm back into the basic, I always drop into the adjust mode. If I want to change my crop for any reason, I have to go back to the crop, okay? And let's say that I really don't like this crop, or it wasn't working for me, or whatever. I have two places where I can change this. If I say revert to original and click on that, everything I've done to this photo disappears. But what if I've already changed the color and the lighting and the cropping? If I do revert to original, I lose the color and the lighting and the cropping. So if only thing that I want to revert is the cropping, then down here it says reset. See there? So you lose only the cropping and not all the other changes. Now, we didn't do any other changes to this one, but just it's a different thing to say revert to original, where it truly goes to original, or reset. Now, one more thing, next to revert to original, there's another thing. There's this little two kind of squares. I can see, click on that to see the before and after for lighting changes and stuff, but I haven't done it. But this one does not work with cropping. It's the only thing that you cannot see the crop. Okay, but if I had a bunch of changes here, you would see the crop. So anyway, down here to reset, let's click on reset, and I'm back to my original photo. Okay, so now let me show you what these other things are here. Flip, of course, just means flip it, which be careful if you ever have writing, of course, you can't flip, or a t-shirt with writing, you can't flip it. But also if you have people who have like a mole on one side of the face and not at the other, be careful with flipping, because, you know, they don't look like themselves anymore. So just, or if they're their hair to the right or to the left, you know, so flipping has to be done usually more on things that have no way to recognize. But anyway, that's flip. Here's the aspect ratio. I'm going to open this up. All right, so here are the choices, and freeform, which is checked, is what we've been doing, meaning I can do whatever I want. I can make this photo look this big. I don't know, that's freeform. It doesn't matter. I'm going to reset. But say that I have a real need for it to be fitting into a 4x5 frame or into a 5x7 frame, then how this is going to need to be cut is different. So say that I hit 5x7. So this is showing me in 5x7, any of these corners that I click on right now are not going to let me freely. I want a 5x7, but I want to see less of that. I can't. If I try to bring this in, the whole thing will come in, because it's going to proportionally keep everything working within this proportion. So this will still print as a 5x7 with a huge piece of soup, and or this will print as a 5x7 with a big blemish on the water, but that is still going to be a 5x7 ratio. Let me reset. You can also say that you want a 5x7, but you want it to be in vertical mode. So that's a 5x7 in vertical mode, or this is a 5x7 in horizontal mode. And so it's already clipped a whole bunch of stuff off on the sides. So now if you say, no, I really would want it to be 4x6. Well, a 4x6 ratio is the same as a 3x2. You click on a 3x2, then see how 5:7 is a little bit taller than 3:2. This is the format 3:6 or 8:10 or 16:9. So these are proportions. 16:9 would be like video, TV. It's this long, right? So that means that's why, or square, you know, like Instagram became square. Now this is square ratio. It doesn't mean that I can't then still move it down and have a different proportion to that. And then I'm going to reset all of them. Okay, so that just original takes you back to the original ratio, but it doesn't bring you back to the original photo. That is with the reset. All right, so I'm going to go with freeform, and one second, just make it look the way I want it to look, which is straighter and cropped. And that'll be what I'm going to do to this one. You guys do whatever other kind of cropping you want to yours. Yes, Carol?
I lost it now. I was looking for what is 4:3? No,
What is what?
I think it was 4:3.
But what are you asking? I'm not here. 4:3?
You talked about the sizes and
Yeah,
cropping.
so these are typical sizes that you might have in, like when you go buy a frame. You
Right.
can buy a frame for a 4:6, 8:10, 5:7, like they're typical sizes. And so that's why these are typical ratios.
But what's a 4:3?
I do not know right now what a
Okay,
4:3
I know a
is
5:7
actually.
and 8:10. Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know. What 4:3?
Just learning what
Does
that.
anyone know?
3:2 is
Ed, does
4:6,
anyone know what
but-
4:3 might be? I don't know that.
4:3 is a micro 2/3 ratio.
4:3 is what TVs were before the widescreens came out and switched to 16.9.
All right,
Yeah.
The old CRT TVs were 4:3 ratios.
great. Thank you for that knowledge, you guys.
You're
Suzanne,
Thank you.
your sound is off.
Yeah, my question is, if you're making 5x7 cards with these photos, is it wise to go in and check off the 5x7? I mean,
Yeah.
I've never done that before, but I mean, I make that choice at the photo, like Mimeo Photo would ask if you want 5x7.
Yeah, so if you do this now, instead of waiting, right? And you click 5x7, then you're in charge. Because what if you, in this photo, obviously there's a good and a bad part of it, but what if you have a portrait with 5 people and you make it look great and you crop it really nicely, and then when you have to do it 5x7, you discover you have to crop off their legs or crop off their faces or their hair or something for it to work. So if you start by cutting it, by selecting 5x7, now you can place things better based on the photo that you have. So like here, to do this one 5x7, I'm ending up with more space on one side than on the other, and that would look weird. So now I can make it a little bit smaller, where I can like reset it so that I have both sides the same way. And now that's a better, and it's a better 5x7 if I set it up here than if I wait until the last minute when it's already been fixed and whatnot. So this gives you more control,
Okay,
right?
good, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So when you're done and you're happy with it and you say done, right? And then that's the photo that you have. This time now, because of her example, I cropped it into 5x7. Then, as I said before, what if you really liked the photo that you wanted before, that you really didn't want to lose it? You can undo it and go back to the original, or you can also duplicate it and have the original. So I'm going to show you that on a different photo. But right now, this photo is cropped. Anything that I really wanted into it, as you saw, you just go and revert and you don't lose it, right? Just to change into something more interesting, I'm going to shift from the tomato soup to another photo. So if you want to shift to another photo of yours, let's go ahead and do that. And let's move into, so this here, for example, also needs to be straightened. So I'm going to double click on it. And this is a perfect example of where the grid lines are going to help me, because there's actually a landscape there that will let me compare it. So I'm going to hit edit and I'm going to hit crop. And I'm not going to crop this one, but I need to straighten it. So it's still under the crop tool and it's free form. I'm going to grab this and see how now I can use those grid lines to help me try to match that background to that landscape like that. I can't point to it, but that line right there is going to help me match the landscape. So when I'm done and I do that, I know that is straight. Now you might wonder, is it important or not to have this photo be straight? For some people, it's really important. For some people, it's not. I'm not going to have that conversation or that argument. But what I do know is that once I did do this, now he really seems to be a little bit off kilter. And for some people, that's fine or not, depending on your understanding of cropping. You can still now, since it's free form, keep cropping more and decide that you want this to be just a photo or a face or just that, whatever it is. But at least that straightening was taken care of. But I can't add more right over here because all this is lost. All this was lost in the straightening. You know what I mean? So you have to sometimes go, well, was it worth straightening for what I lost or not? So let's assume that we liked that. Now, here's the deal. The cropping, this is it. That's all you do in the cropping, straightening and cropping. That's it. That's all you can do in the cropping. Filters, and I'm showing these just really quickly, if they're presets. They're presets of different possible choices of how you can modify an image, right? And there's a whole set of presets here that are just a few choices, and then you can download tons of other filters for free that are available online everywhere for the photos library. But if I don't want to go in and change it all myself, I can just go, oh, I wonder how this photo would be if I clicked on dramatic warm. What if I clicked on vivid warm? What if I clicked on silver tone? What if I click on vivid? What if it, you know, so it's just possible. One of these you might go, ooh, that looks awesome. I want it that way. I'd love it that way. And so choose one that you think would be great and then say done. And there you go. That's your editing and you don't have to do much more. I'm going to go ahead and say, no, I didn't like any of those. So I can just go back here and say original. So I'm not tied in. Even if you choose something where you lose all the color and say done, that's it. If the moment you want to undo it, you go back into the edit, you unchoose, you go back to original and you've got back your original without having to undo the crop. Because had I done revert to original, I would have also lost the crop. So here I just get to undo only this one. Does that make sense? So I'm going to not apply any of these filters, but sometimes it's the right thing. You know, maybe you have a bunch of photos of 2-3 different places and you want to make them look good because you're putting together in one Christmas card, for example. Well, maybe applying the same filter to 2 or 3 different photos might give them all a same look, and then they might join themselves or something like that. So anyway, that's all this is. Unless you have extra filters that you've downloaded, you can have, you know, hundreds of filters here that give you presets. I'm going to show you how to get these looks on your own in the next setting, but sometimes this might become useful for you. I'm going to avoid them, so go back to original, and now I'm going to head over to adjust. Now remember to go to 100% and then to check if there's good focus. And I'm going to look at this and I'm going, yeah, his hair is pretty clear. This, you can see the texture of this, the bird's hair. This is pretty good focus. I can also see all the little crumbs from when he was eating. You know, there's other stuff here that I might not like to have, little snot there that I might not to have in so much focus. So guess what? There's a good retouching tool here where I might want to retouch some of that junk away. But for now, I'm going to look at it and here's some more food. And I'm like, well, if I want to show that my kid was not a kid and was a perfect gentleman, I can erase some of that with a retouching tool. All right. So once you know that, yeah, it's okay, you're going to work on it, you can go back to the big mode and not have to have it at 100%. But don't forget to check things at 100% because it's, when you print it, you're surprised by how soft it is and it's not really in focus. And I wonder why. I saw it well on my screen, and it's because the screen things always look really sharp, even if they aren't really. So that's a good thing to know. Let me look, there's a question here. Is there a way in cropping where we can make a triangle in this photo? Can we cut the clear sky in his left? No, in this app, you cannot do anything other than, in most apps, only Photoshop would allow you to do something weird like a triangle, but in regular photo editing apps, you can't do any triangle shape. Okay, so now we have a photo here that we can start working on the color. And I don't know if the photo that you have, right, that you chose is one where you can work a little bit with color and stuff. If it's a bad one, go back and choose another one. Say done to this one and choose another one. That coloring is weird. But I'm going to go ahead and work with this one a little bit more. And when you click on adjust, there's some settings here. By default, what seems available is light, color, and black and white. Black and white is an easy one. Clearly, all of them have 3 choices here. So I'm going to go to auto and black and white, and I'm going to click auto. And basically what it's telling me is this is what I think would be the best if I turn this into a black and white. And see how this little check mark got marked? That means that I am using this tool. If I don't want that, I go, nah, I can revert that with that little backwards arrow and go, nah, I don't want to have it be black and white. Okay, so the auto or black and white. Now, what if I wanted a black and white, but I just don't like what auto did? Well, I can slide this back and forth and choose different versions of possible black and whites. And then say, ooh, I really like it when it's like that, or I really like it when it's like this, or whatever. And no, and I click on back. So that's like a little reset of just that. Notice it only resets that, and it didn't get rid of my cropping. Always remember that this one is crooked when we started. So this only resets this one choice. Now, I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to turn this one into black and white. So I don't want to bother seeing this. So see this little arrow here? I can collapse that and go, nah, I'm not going to play with black and white. This is not something that, it's not a photo that I'm going to bother making black and white. So I can collapse it. If I come across a photo that I do want, I can open it up and do some more. And there's even more options, but right now we're going to go to, not black and white. So then here I have choices light and color. If I have no idea where to even start to fix this photo with light and color, as usual, I can see what does the computer think. So I can click on this little auto thing and see, well, what does the computer think I could do to the light in this photo? Click on auto. Did you see a change there? If you want to see the before and after without undoing it, you can click on this little check mark, and that's before, after, before, after. Okay, this is kind of turning on and off that choice, before and after. If I don't like it, I undo it. If I like it, then that's good. If I don't like it and I undo it, I can also drag this around myself to see if I can find a better choice for auto. All right. Now, say that I like this more dramatic look that's way over here. And then I want to see before and after. And then I go, nah, I didn't like it. So I go and undo. Okay. So these are all choices at the basic level. But what if I don't like any of these choices, but I want some more? So this is the easiest way. These are just some presets that it's given me as a choice. But if I don't like any of those presets, then I can go down to the word options and open this little arrow. And then I get a lot of different tools in here that I can play around with on the different choices. Now, for some of you guys, this will be easier, especially if you're accustomed, if you've done Photoshop with me, or if you're a photographer or something like this might mean more to you. But there's a lot of control over here, over these different things. So for example, if I just want to make the highlights, which is the lighter parts of this lighter, I move this to the right, see how I'm making all the highlights higher. Boom, see how my clouds, the whole sky is turning white. Or if I want to make them darker, I move them to the left, right? So that's my highlights, higher or lower. Or I might go to the shadows and I might want to darken or lighten. If I darken it, then his eyes look like 2 black olives or something, like 2 black pits. I don't like that. If I go lighter, the whole thing gets lighter. So you can play around and move these things on your own. I can increase the contrast, which is, you know, both sides. So just play around with these to see if you find a spot that you like better. And many times this takes knowing more about color. And many times the best thing is to hit auto first, see what the computer thinks. And then maybe see when you hit auto, these are the choices the computer made. If I undo auto, all the numbers are back to middle. When I hit auto, I have this much brilliance, that side for highlights, this for, so this is what the settings that it might go, well, I like that, but maybe I want the highlights even darker. So you just modify based on what the computer chose, right? So you can play around with these until you get the setting that you like best. Any questions about this before we continue? So now if I want to see the before and after of just light, I go and turn this on and off, and I decide, oh yeah, that's better. I kind of like it. I added a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more to the shadow. I'm going to just play with it more. And then I go, yeah, that's pretty good. Cool. What else can I do to this photo? Well, for now, if I'm happy with that, I can collapse light. You don't have to, but it's more comfortable to have one at a time. Now I can go to color. And color, I can again see what auto says. I'll click on auto. Auto this time in this photo at least doesn't seem to make much of a difference. If I move this up and down, I can make it go all the way from no color to really neon bright. Let's see. If I open the options, here I have more choices. I can move vibrance up, which makes colors a bit better. Saturation is bad because it's going to make everything look neon for people. So you don't want to bring up saturation for people, but maybe vibrance. Cast, if I want to make it bluer or more yellow. I'm just going to give it a little bit more vibrance to make my red jump out a little bit more. There's the before and after. See how, look at this piece of his t-shirt here. That's before, and this is after. See how the colors became more just boing, 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 boing. Right? So that's a choice. So now I've got a change of light, a change of color, and I've cropped it. Okay. If I reset the adjustments, they all of them change at the same time. If instead I only turn this one off, then I only turn off light. So you can choose how much changes you want. If you're happy with the changes, you might see the before and after from here and there, and you go, oh, I like that. I don't like that. This is how I started with. This is what I've got now. Then you can go ahead and say done. If you like it and you back up, this little is showing you the new version, not the old version. And it's edited because of those little guys. Now, I know there's questions and I want us to take a break, but what if you wanted the old version and the new version? And what if you want different changes? So we're going to tackle all that kind of stuff when we come back from the break. Okay. But if you have any questions about this that I just did, like light and color, this is a good time to ask me before we take a break. Nope. Sometimes it takes time people to undo their mute. Nope. All right. So if there's no questions right now, then let's do that. Make sure to say done and then to back off so that you don't mess anything up that you've done on the photos that you've already worked on. And maybe if you don't need 10 minutes of break, choose some photos of your library that you want to work on and throw them into this folder. Meanwhile, let me look at the time. 9:59. Why did March 9th? It's not 9:54. It's 5:55. So let's take 10 minutes to break until 6:05. That's 10 minutes. See you guys in 10. All right. We are back. Come on back. Give me a sound to show me you're alive. Oh, I see someone moving. That means you're live. Okay, good. All right. So, oh, the break was until, did I get that wrong? 6:10. Did I get an extra 5? I have it in my brain that it was 6:10. Have you guys been waiting an extra 5 minutes for me? Yikes. And I walked out of here telling myself 6:10, 6:10, 6:10, and I didn't set the timer. So sorry. But I'm reading in my chat, it says until 6:05. Sorry about that, guys. Brain lapse. Okay. I hate to have left you waiting. That's a bummer. All right. It was totally unintentional. I thought I was like, yay, it says 10. All right. Here we go. So now, have you all found a good photo that needs a lot of fixing by now? Since you had to wait for me, hopefully, hopefully you used your time accurately and had some photos that need a lot of fixing or enhancing. Let me talk a little bit about other kinds of things that you can do here. By the way, for those of you who are in Photoshop or who've used Photoshop or Lightroom or any of those other editing programs, you might have been surprised, for better or for worse, at how many choices were available there. And for the most part, there's some photos that no matter how many choices you have for editing, can't be fixed. So when you're looking at fixing some photos, I'm going to give you an example of this one here. This here is a photograph where when it was taken, notice that you could say that this is too dark. Anything that's too dark could have been fixed, but notice how there's just white in the place of these faces, right? Now, this happens to be in a stage where they had these bright light on their faces, whatever, but this is typical of sunny photographs where suddenly there's some space in the array of sun on a white t-shirt or something like that. And then you get this like complete blank. There's no detail there whatsoever. There's nothing in the world that's going to fix that because the camera just didn't capture detail. So even if I get really up close and try to fix that, notice that there's just nothing there. There's no skin texture. There's nothing that I can make darker. If I make something darker, it'll just be a darker nothing. There's no quality there. Okay. So this is not fixable, by the way. This is actually a 10-10-10 from a few years ago. This is my son. So these are the festival winners. So harsh lighting like that, no matter what you do, be it Photoshop, be it Lightroom, be it this, it's just not fixable. Okay. So try not to take those kind of photos if at all you can. And if you are in a situation with harsh lighting, it's better to take a photo so that the whole photo is really dark and then you can make it better. So here we have a photo where things are kind of dark, but none of the areas, well, there's a little bit of a blown out here area, but most of it is dark. This can be fixed more than what that could be fixed. This is another photo that's pretty dark, right? Well, this is actually much easier to fix. So darker is easier to fix than those blown out things. So here I have something that's in between where most of it is a little bit dark and then this is blown out. Well, I can fix a lot of the rest of it, but I probably won't be able to fix that blown out stuff. In fact, I know for sure I can't fix that blown out stuff, okay? So just whenever you're like trying to see what you can fix, there's no magic. Not here, not in Photoshop, not in anything. Now in Photoshop, you could replace this with some other image, cover an event that some other painting was there, or have another picture of that area that you might be able to replace. But other than that, if it's blown out like that, it stays blown out. So since I opened this one last, I'm going to keep going with this one. Now this is this is actually the same guy who was winning that there, believe it or not. That long hair is still the same kid. And this is the guy who's doing the movie now. Years and years have gone by, but every year he creates an imaginary painting. So this is from whatever year this happened, and this was the worst kind of lighting, dappled sunlight. Yikes. Any photograph in dappled light meaning in and out, is going to be a disaster. So this is a photo that I love because it shows my son and his painting. Is there anything good about this photo? No, absolutely zero is good about this photo, but it's a photo of a moment that I don't have a better one. So how can we fix it? And a lot of the times I find that this kind of applications are not used by a professional with an amazing photo who wants to make it much better. Yes, it's easy to make a great photo better, right? Well, not easy, takes some knowledge too. But a good photo can always be made exceptional. A bad photo can only be made better, and you can try to make it show what you want it to show. So this is busy. It's got stuff in the background. It's just got weird stuff. You barely see the kid over there. But most importantly, the lighting is a mess. So to make it a little bit more livable, what can we do about the lighting? Well, if we ask the computer, this is the magic wand, and click on that, there we go. He did a little bit better. So let's see if we can do better ourselves. So now here I have, I've collapsed the light, the color, the black and white. People who are into more control, and I'm talking maybe those of you who've taken Photoshop with me, or have taken maybe Lightroom with Bruce or something like that. There's curves and there's levels down here. There's selective color. There's other stuff that is much more advanced that you can do. But even so, even with light, with these different choices here, we might be able to do something. To know how to use these guys, curves and levels, it might take a little bit more doing than what we have in this class today. And I'm happy to next week when we meet again, keep working a little bit deeper once you have found some maybe tricky photos that you want to work with, and helping you figure out how to do some of this stuff. But for now, and yes, when I work with curves and levels on this image, I made it relatively decent. But let's see what I can do over here, if I can do a bit over here. One thing I forgot to show you in the last image, I was going to show you how to retouch some of that snot or stuff that was on the face, but I'm already moved on for that photo. So if you have anything in a photo that you can retouch, I'm going to invent that these little spots are equivalent to the little crumbs on my other son. And you want to get rid of some stuff that you don't want. Let's head over here to the retouch right there. So go find something in your photo you don't want. Remember, this is all on, you can get rid of all these changes. And when you click on retouch, there's a little button here that you click that gives you a little brush. And the size of that brush depends on you moving this up or down like that, right? And so let's say, and you can use, for those of you who know the shortcuts in Photoshop, they work as well, you know, the brackets and stuff, that works for the same. But say that I want to get rid of that dot. I don't want to have a huge big brush. What I want to do is make that brush be the size a bit bigger than the blemish. So you can move over here, or you can use like Photoshop shortcuts, make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to click and drag a little bit there. When I let it go, look, it go. That little blemish is gone. Let's assume that these are blemishes on a face. And there you go. I'm getting rid of a lot of little dots that shouldn't be there, right? Let's assume they shouldn't be there. This is actually stars in the night and they should have been there. But you know what I'm trying to say. Just showing you how to use the retouching tool. It's pretty cool. It's nowhere near as good as, say, this tool in Photoshop or this tool in Lightroom. But see, there's a little piece of trash there that I'm going to click on and I'm going to fix. Here's another, let's say this is a bit of trash. I'm going to do that. Now, say that I have this little whole shape here jumping in that I don't want. If I try to eliminate that, that's very doubtful it will do a good job. Kind of worked actually, but not really too well. I guess I can go over and over it. And I did kind of manage to eliminate that. But in reality, that over there is pretty blurry right now. So I
Ian,
wouldn't
how
do,
did you pull that brush out? I'm not seeing how you're doing that.
touch this little, click right there. Okay, that little icon. Let me put a spotlight on this thing. So if you click on that, it's on or off, right? And so when it's on, then you can make it bigger or smaller. I recommend not going with a big thing because anything you touch with this thing can get ruined. You need to have it be smaller, as small as you want. So maybe I want to get rid of that little spot of light there, and I drag it a little bit and it gets rid of that little extra spot of light. Anyway, I'm just inventing that this stuff is bad to show you how it works.
When I'm sorry, when I'm pulling it onto my screen, it's not showing up onto the picture.
So is this gray or black?
It's gray.
Okay, because if it's black, you won't see it. Then it doesn't
No,
work.
it's
It needs to be
gray.
gray. Okay, and you have it big enough that you can see it? You see
Yep,
a circle?
yep.
So you do see it.
But
Okay,
I
so-
don't see it when going onto my painting, and onto my picture, it just
Well,
disappears.
So no, so when you do this, do you see a circle over your picture or you stop seeing a circle over your picture?
Oh, it's gonna be all over my whole picture? I
Well,
don't,
no, and then here what I'm doing is I'm clicking and dragging to make this happen. And that's going to be a disaster because you can't delete a tip like that, but I'm trying to show you. So I'm going to undo that Command Z. So the brush shows up and I'm just hovering. I'm not clicking anything. For me to make it do something, I need to click and drag for it to do something, which of course that's not, I think it made a mess. It just joined these two things, right? So you move it around, but then nothing happens to it until you actually click and drag. So say I wanted to take the sun out, it's probably not going to do a good job, but it kind of did a goodish, made a little mess there. It kind of took that sun out. I'm going to Command Z to undo that. Go ahead and share your screen. I'm not sure what isn't
sure,
working.
it's not
so-
activating. Yeah, let me share screen. Thank you. Oh, I'm in Zoom. Hold on, we get smaller, so I can get my screen. Hold on, escape.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There, let me go to Zoom, activate share. Okay, and share. Okay, all right, there I am.
Mhm.
Get rid of this. So I go to the brush.
Turn it on.
Yep, it's on,
Make it
right?
biggish. Yep. Okay, and now put the mouse.
Now I see it,
Mhm.
right? Now, do I release or I try to drag
No,
it
no,
on?
no, no. Now, no, it's you drag back and made it tiny. Go back up. Okay, now let go of your mouse so it doesn't drag. And now move your mouse loosely. There.
Oh, thank you. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
And now
It's
you
like
can drag.
Photoshop.
Maybe
Okay,
that paint splotch you have there on the brown paper, run it over that, for example.
yeah, I saw it go away from the other thing. Okay, so it's
No.
like Photoshop. I can,
Yeah,
okay,
mhm.
thank you. I just
Mhm.
wasn't able to access the brush. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
I'll stop sharing.
No problem. All right. Anyone else who has a question about that tool I just showed you? Has anyone successfully eliminated some blemish?
Yes, it's nice to know about that tool.
Mhm.
I didn't know you could do that.
Now,
Cool.
that said, don't overuse it because although it might look okay, it isn't necessarily, where are we? Hold on. It's best that if you use that tool that you see it at 100%. Okay, so remember that 100%, because then when you use that tool at 100%, go back here to 100%, then you get a better idea of the effect it's having, because it might look like it's good, but then when you really look at it, it might be a bit of a mess or not, or it might be great. Now, what I'm doing here to make it bigger or smaller, for those of you who really care, I'm going to the bracket keys, and the bracket keys on the keyboard are the square brackets that are next to the letter P. To the right of the letter P, there's a couple of brackets, and this makes one smaller and the other one makes it bigger. So then I can go over here and make it smaller to go over that one, and make it smaller to go into that one. And then I might need get it bigger if I want to go over something like that, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So this is good for retouching. Now, let's go back and I show you how I eliminated a whole thing here, but this isn't a really good tool to say, take this corner off, because in corners it won't work well because it has to go over edges and stuff, or in straight lines it won't work well. So it's got its limits, but it's not bad. All right, I'm going to go back. Before I do many more changes to this, as I said before, I did want to warn you, you will be able to recover this, not just here in resetting all these adjustments. But let's go ahead and say done right now to whatever changes you've made, right? Back up. So say this image right now has been left without stars, or as many as I got to before I stopped working. So it's got no stars in the sky area. Okay. What if I really want to have the version with the stars as well? And maybe what you got rid of is something else, but you don't want to just know that you can undo it. You actually want to have both versions, right? Say that you wanted the version of the soup with the microwave and the one without it. Yes, I can go back and revert the change and get the stars back, but that means undoing also anything else I might have done to it. So I can have a copy of this, one with the changes and one without the changes. Be aware though, that means now that I'm increasing my photo library by 1 photo, because that will be a different photo. Okay. So it's easier for me to show it in this one. I want the one with and without the microwave chunk that I took out. Then I can duplicate it before or after the editing. So this one I already cropped. So it's already the after. But I can right click and duplicate it. Duplicate one photo. So go to the one that you did the cropping, which is easier to tell that there's a big change. And now, look at the file name. It's exactly the same. I have 2 of the exact same thing. So this truly is a duplicate. This truly is me getting 2 of the same exact photo. Get that? My file library gets bigger here. So this is only to be done in cases where you truly, truly, truly want both options, and that undoing is not a solution for you. Then I can double click and edit, and then I can just revert to original on one of them. Say done, and back, and now I have my before and my after. Does that make sense? I could have duplicated it before I did the changes too, and then just edited one of them. But if I've already edited them and now I'm like, oh, I really want both, well, then just duplicate the edited one, because everything you do here is always completely editable. It's never what we call in Photoshop destructive. It is just revert, just undo. Okay, so I had something done here. I had edited some stuff, whatever it is. You revert to original, undo everything, and then just say done. Come down and you have both versions. You could also undo that one and have 2 of the same thing, but this allows you now to play. Maybe instead of tomato soup, you want to make the red be orange and have it look like lobster bisque, or you want to make it look red and have some beets in there. Who knows, whatever. You keep playing with it, right? By the way, those of you who can see that Leon is raising his hand, he's not. Okay, he's just exercising his fingers and his hand that I see the cast is gone. So I just wanted to tell him, I'm not necessarily ignoring him. I'm just aware that he is finally cast free and that that's what's happening. Anyway, I just wanted you guys to not think that I was being completely blasé about his calling me. All right, so you can edit it before, leave it there, and then you'll always know it's edited. So you'll know you cannot do this, like to not waste space, right? So say that you don't do this. I'm going to remove that. Don't waste space. Do this. In the future, if you go, oh, this one used to have a cool microwave on the top of it, I would like to see it again. then you know that this is the edited one, duplicate it at that moment, right? Just when you want the original. But you don't necessarily need to have both of the edited versions there just to keep the original one there. Otherwise, you're suddenly going to have, instead of 30,000 photos, you're going to have to, 60,000 photos. So I would just only do this on the ones that there's a true reason to want both. Like you want a photo of, and I don't see any reason here where I would want both versions ever. Actually, maybe this one. Maybe this one here, I might want a version where you have all this cool background, and then I might want another version where I have only the bowl, right? So then I'm going to duplicate it ahead of time, right? And they're showing up right now, one on each side, but the duplication did happen, right? So I'm just, here's two. And then I'm going to leave one being the original, and then the other one I'm going to open up, and I'm going to edit, and I'm going to crop, and I'm going to just bring it down so that I don't see the other one, maybe straighten it a little bit, whatever. And then this is the other version, right? So now I've got both, which is, it is a different photo in this case. And maybe for some photos, I want this one, and for some others, I want that one, right? So yeah, there's a point where you might have a reason to want to. But other than that, now you can always come back to it, right? So you don't necessarily have to do the duplicate. Anyway, just wanted to show you that to make sure that you're all pretty clear that it's a possibility. You never have to lose your original. All right, so back to, we were talking about this one where there was some tricky lighting. So notice that he's in the shadow, this tree's in the shadow, this is dark. So you would think, well, I need to just make the whole photo lighter, right? So I can go to exposure and make the whole photo lighter. Okay, so he looks better, the tree looks better, but what happened over here? If you try to make the whole photo lighter, which is what exposure does, then the stuff that was already too light gets ruined. So notice how I brought that back. If I click on this and bring this over, if I want to go back to 0, I can just double click here and it kind of goes back to 0. If I say, well, I want to make this darker because I want to see the trees better, and I make it darker, then I see the trees better, but then everything gets darker. So things like exposure doesn't work too well. Same with brilliance. It makes everything brighter, everything darker. So those don't work so well. But if I just try to work on only the highlights or the shadows, I might do better. So if I only make the highlights, which would be this part, darker. So I'm going to move this down and see if that helps at all. So that's where it was to there, say from there to there. That's kind of helping a little bit, but it didn't make that darker because I was only just working on the highlights. So I can try that, or I can try the brightness, where right now I'm making all that stuff darker. I'm going to move it over there. I'm going to move the highlights over there. So now I'm just working on the highlights. And so that's a bit better than before. And I want to see the before and after. I can click on this thing, before and after. So I can see things a little bit better over there. But now I can lighten the shadows a bit. So now I've lightened that. So now I see him a little bit better. Maybe I can move the black point a little bit. Basically, I can move things around a little. And now I do turn this on and off, and look what a difference it's made to this photo. Granted, it's not going to win a single prize. It's not going to do much. But for me, as a memory of the kid, he's not in the weird deep shadows anymore. Right? So that helped a lot. That said, maybe I can put a little vignette here to hide that stuff a little bit more and focus on this. So down here, I have a vignette. And a vignette helps me darken the corners a little bit. So if I do that, I darken all the people that I don't care about, but I'm kind of darkening his face a little bit too. So I'm not sure I want that much of a vignette. And I can change the radius. It helps a little bit to hide the brighter parts of it. I don't know, just a thought. It didn't work too well because I'm darkening his face, and I didn't want his face darkened. So probably not a vignette in this case because he's already on the edge. So you just try different things. Now, I have gotten a better result with this one with curves and levels, but as I said, that might take a little bit more doing than what I can teach you today. I'm going to show you some other stuff you can do with curves and levels maybe next week. Just want to show you a couple of the cool things that are here. So if you have a photo that has any color in it, let's try playing with selective color a little bit. So head over to selective color. Hopefully you have some photos with any kind of color in it. Most photos, unless you chose black and white, have some color. All right. So now say that I want to change or enhance some of these colors. This would have worked with the photo that we had before with the other kid, but say that I want to enhance some of these colors or even change them, maybe this green. So I can guess at what color it is, or I can use this little eyedropper right there, turn on the eyedropper, and then I'm going to go point to this green right there, right? I pointed to that green. I clicked once. And now what I can do is I can darken or lighten and look at what's changing. It's just the trees, see? It's pretty cool. I'm just darkening or lightening the tones of that green. Or I can even say that I want the green to now be blue or yellow. But it's only shifting that tone. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now, if another area had the same color, notice that there's some of that green over here because this neighbor used that same chalk. Then if I make that change, it's changing there as well because it's any place now these trees are blue and that green area is blue. So it kind of works for everything. I can make it more saturated and deeper. It's also saturating and deepening it down there. But suddenly those trees that were kind of washed out over here now are not washed out anymore, right? So now this is the before and after of those trees. Now I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but I'm just trying, well, quite a bit, trying to get you to see how certain things can change. Over here though, I can't do much. Because white is white. I can't make the white change into blue. I can change a color into another color, but I can't change white take on color. So if I were to click on this white, I might be able to, make it a bit darker, a bit lighter, but instead what it's picking up is some yellow. See right there. So yeah, it just doesn't, white doesn't work. Okay. But the blue, on the other hand, this blue, I might be able to maybe deepen it, make it more intense or something like that. So now we're going to a photo that had to see the before and after. That was the before, and this is the after. Wow. So again, as I said, it's not going to be a photo for a prize winning contest, but it's better, right? For me as a memory to have this than to have the other one. And I'm clicking over here, okay? Next to revert to original, I'm looking at the before and after. Before and after. Okay, so anyway, that's selective color. If you want to play around with color a little bit. Over here, definition is going to give us some more sharpness. So if any of this is not very sharp, and if I go up to 100% and check, it looks sharp enough. Nothing here seems very out of focus. So this might not need it. But if I were to want to make it sharper, I can add sharpness here and make something sharper. So this is the before and this is the after. The problem with adding sharpness is that maybe the trees, this area looks good, but then all of the blacks get blacker and the whites get blacker, whiter too. So it gets more contrasty. So in this case, I'm losing his legs and his knees are going black again. So maybe we're going to add some of that, be subtle with it and add just a little bit, but not too much, right? To get some contrast. So anyway, you play around with all these. If you have somebody with red eyes, go find a photo with, when the flash hits them and they have a red eye, this fixes the red eyes. Play around with stuff. I'm going to leave white balance for another time or example. So now I've done everything I think I can do to it. I say done, and then I back out. And once it's here, I can't see the before or after, right? Here, this is my photo now. This is the photo that I have. That's it. But as long as I see that it has little, this little icon that it's edited, I know that it's been worked on. And I can hit the edit and I can completely revert it. But before I do that, maybe I want to check, what was it before? Oh, that's what it was before. I think I like it better now. I won't bother reverting it. Okay. I'm going to back off a little bit. It's really good when you have sunsets or sky stuff, usually can be enhanced. So this is a photo of a sunset. I'm going to double click on it. And yeah, it's got some nice colors. Not bad. If I hit the magic wand, what does the magic wand say? Not much change. It basically leaves it the same. the auto enhance sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It has to be really wrong for it to work. I'm going to bring up the options. So if I never open the options up and I just use the basic settings for auto, if I darken or lighten for something like the sky, that alone, look at what a difference it makes. I'm going to undo that. But when I darken this over there, see how this goes so pure black. I'm going to revert that. It's better if I can play around with only lightening or darkening the highlights and not darkening so much the shadows, or even in fact lightening the shadows to see if you can get some green back. So now I got some green. I don't know if you can tell, but that looked black before. Now it's looking green. I don't know if you can tell, but I was able to lighten the shadows. So I have a green tree. There you go. But I was able to darken the highlights so that I have a really intense sunset. And this, I just did that with these settings. Okay. So from there, a very black tree and a kind of a blasé, not too bad, but sunset, to a green tree and a much more enhanced, let's say, starker sunset that looks more interesting than it did before. Okay, so play around with that. And all I did is I lightened the shadows and I darkened the highlights. Okay, I lightened the black point and I darkened the brightness. So you kind of go one thing onto one side and one thing to another side. So this kind of thing that I did there with a bit more technicality, you can do also with curves and levels. So if you don't know how to use curves and levels, you know, this is pretty much what you get, where you get to play around with these in a more or less technical way and play around until you find something that really works. So find some sunsets, find anything that has a sunset in your life and try this on it. And you'll suddenly go, whoa, that's pretty cool. What happened to that sunset? You can really enhance sunsets. You think all those landscape photographers are right there when the sun is so beautiful. I mean, remember was it a month ago or 2 months ago that we had some amazing sunsets in Santa Barbara? You all remember that? We had like a whole week of just like the sky was playing with us. Well, that's, yes, once in a few lifetimes we get that. For the most part, sunsets are kind of cool and you have to enhance them to make those great photos that people see. All right. Okay, so before I continue showing you little examples, does anyone have a photo that they're saying, well, what can I do this to them? What can I do to fix it? Or how can I fix this or that? Anyone want to share a photo? And
Yeah, I do.
okay, I'm stopping my share. Go ahead and show me.
Oh, wait, let me see. I forgot that I am not on the photo anymore. I'm so sorry.
Problem. No problem.
Screen sharing on that to be edited. So
Okay.
like on this one, I
Mhm.
picked this picture where it was so crumpled. And so I fixed it already, but then like the lips there and the, you know,
Actually, now that I remember, I think we worked on this photo before. I can see because it has little editings there. Let me actually go ahead and request remote control. Go ahead and say yes to that. Okay, so don't move your mouse. I remember that you brought this photo up maybe in some other time you took this class, but see how it has those little guys right there? It means it's already an edited photo. Let's go see. I'm going to hit edit. And this, whenever we did this was a long time ago, right?
yeah,
So let's see
the
the before and after. What was it before? That's where we had started. And this was me making it, or us making it better. So your original photo is that one. And with some contrast and stuff, we got it to look like that. Okay, you guys see the difference? So that was before and this was after. So we added some contrast. Now the question, is there anything more or better that we can do to it? So
yeah, I'm sorry. I think what happened was that the brush got too much, and so the lips become like swollen.
this there. Oh, let's see. So you did
I am on a,
Tried to you tried to retouch that with the retouching tool is what you mean?
yeah, and
Mm.
it became swollen. But the crack on the face, I think we were able to fix that because it was crumpled. So when it got crumpled, it looks like there was a cut.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the original right there when I undo that. And the between now and after, the lip doesn't look that different. I can see what you mean, that it looks bit bigger than before. When something is as subtle as that, I'm not sure we can do much in photos. Like I can certainly work with this photo to make it much better in Photoshop, but I'm not sure that this retouching tool has the subtlety to do much better with that. To do details like that, Photoshop would be marvelous, but in here, at most you can get rid of. So now here's this photo, guys. This is a photo that probably was very small and was photographed. And right now, as you can see, I'm looking at it at 250%. So really it's size wise. I'm not sure why it's not changing in size. And I say fit or that's 250. And it's not getting any smaller, but it's showing it to me at 250%. So what you're seeing is already very, very exploded. Like it's already so she's showing you the pixels and the bad stuff. I can't seem to make it go down to 100%. So this kind of stuff you see here, I mean, this is a very old photo that got fixed. That kind of detail that's looking kind of messy, that we can't fix in photos. As I said, Photoshop can do this marvelously well, but it won't be able to fix that. We might be able to darken it though. So I'm going to go over to here where you have your black and whites, and I'm wondering if we can. Nothing seems to be. It's not, doesn't seem to be accepting my. There we go. So there's just accepting my changes. Okay, so if I darken it quite a bit more, there, that's looking more interesting. But the fact that it's looking so, these are called JPEG artifacts, that's because it's zoomed in so much. Normally in this photo, if you print it, it won't have so much junk. So now what I just did, what I just added to that was from there where all the blacks are kind of grayish to that where the black is actually black. So it's got more contrast, so that helps. You see the difference? All I did was I moved up the black point.
What is black point, Deanna?
So the black right now is kind of dark gray.
Yeah.
And what I want is the black to be black. So I darken my black point so that all my dark grays become blacker until I find that they've hit what I want, as black as I want them to get. Right. So you just darken the black point so that the black isn't as darkish gray as it was before. So that was before. And this is now. So the black is blacker. Does that make sense? And I can go to the shadows also and darken them. Go the other way and darken your shadows a little bit to give more contrast to the face. Brightness. So, but as you keep, so this is the before, this is the after. Okay. Now, as I said, that subtlety that's here, we can't really do with this program. It would probably mess it up. I can try, but it would probably mess it up. Let me go into the retouch. Let me see. This is the retouch before you did it and after you did it. So the retouch did help, but yeah, I don't think. I'll try, but I highly doubt that I can fix anything here in any way that's subtle enough.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just making it worse. So I'm gonna undo that. I don't want to completely undo that because you had done some good stuff there. And now by undoing that, I undid all the stuff that you had done. So that's the problem. I shouldn't have undone it completely because now all the work that you had done there has been undone. So now let me go and try to fix that again. You know what I mean? Because I undid the last thing, but it undid all the work. So now let's try to smooth that out again. This would be a good photo, Yolanda, for you to give me, for me to bring into my Photoshop class to try to make it better in Photoshop, where we can maybe do it much more subtly. The original, not this one that's been played around with here. So now let me see, from there to there, that's kind of working better. But yeah, so basically here now we're in, that's the before and this is the after right now. Okay, so it's much better, right?
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that it's perfect and there's more things that can be done. But over here, you could, you know, maybe try to fix those little edges. See if that's working. So that's kind of where this crack there. There's a little thing over here that maybe we can go over. Anyway, so keep playing with it. But right now, I'm seeing these kind of jaggedy edges that are here. As I said, it's more because of the extreme expansion, the extreme percentage. Like see, it doesn't say 100%, it has 254. And I try to bring it down to 100% and it's not going down to smaller. You only have it in big. So it's like someone over, see there's like black, there's like lines on the nose. That's because those are considered JPEG artifacts. So someone made this photo bigger, but didn't do it originally, right? And so you're going to have all those artifacts that we can't fix. That's something that if I have the original photo again, I can give you a much better result than this one. But this one's already been expanded in Photoshop and I don't even want to get into all the technicalities of it. But anyway, now look at this one, for example, that you have here. See how the colors are really faded, you guys, like older photos. Now this is also a little bit soft in focus and stuff, but the colors could hopefully be enhanced. I'm going to hit this edit here. And let's see if we put in some color. Maybe we can I'm looking for your, I've already worked with, I'm looking for your vibrance. Let's see. My vibrance is in this point. Where's your vibrance? Let me just see for a minute because I don't see your vibrance tool, which is what I'd like. Under color. Yeah, I have saturation, vibrance, and cast, and you have saturation, contrast, and cast. Okay, so it's a bit different. Vibrance is better, but let's see. So if you make too much saturation, it becomes, you see these little red splotches on his head, so that's not going to work. Huh. Whoops, I didn't mean to bring it down. Let me bring the saturation down. That's not working well. Let's see what the auto. Black point got. Extreme. Some exposure. It's a bit too extreme. I mean, still between that and that, it's better, but because I just hit that, it's too much. Bring this black point down a bit. Shadows down. It all depends also on your computer, what you're seeing. Enhance the color a little bit more. So let me see if we say done right now. Well, I didn't mean to say done. I wanted to go to the here to the before and after. Let me go back to edit. So basically that's what you had to start with. when I'm handling a computer from afar, it doesn't work as well as when, for some reason, are you moving your mouse, Yolanda? No,
No.
then it's just being weird because for some reason it went into edit. Okay, so this is what we had before and this is after. So this isn't the best result that I would have liked, but it's better than the washed out version. I still, the same thing is happening. It's like these photos, either they're bad scans or I know it's an old photo,
Mhm.
but you have that, let me see, yeah, again, 250. So I'm wondering why we can't go down to the 100%. It's like it's expanded beyond the size it needs to be expanded for it to work. Over here, we should be seeing 100%, not 250. So when you get it to zoom in so much, you're seeing a lot of jaggy and stuff, just like we did in the other photo. And that really can't be, it just looks bad, right? And you can't fix it. But anyway, if you were to try to print this, it won't be as jaggedy. It'll be smaller than this and it won't be as jaggedy. Okay, it'll actually look better than this. There's some place in between this and that, where between this and that, this is filling it for here, you're going beyond the size it should be, and this is too small. So there's somewhere in between when you get the right combo that we're not getting here. I'm not sure where you're not getting 100%. All right, so that certainly is way better than it used to be. And this is more akin to what it should look like when you get it expanded as big as you did. When we make this bigger, then you start seeing all those details. But in fact, if you were to print it, it would look more like this, which is 100 times better than it used to be. In fact, and just to compare right here, and later we can delete it, but let's make a duplicate. Can you right click and make a duplicate here? The right clicks don't work when I'm using remote control. Can you right click and duplicate that photo for a second? Yeah. So,
Oh, right there.
yeah, perfect. Duplicate the photo. Now I'm going to undo this. I'm going to hit revert to original. And I'm going to say done. And now you can go ahead and compare between this that you started with and that you have right now is way better, right? So you don't have to keep 2 copies, but it's sometimes good to see that and to really say, oh, wow, okay, so yeah, this still has issues, but in comparison, it's so much better. Now let's keep working on that. So sometimes it helps to do the before and after just to give you the reality, because we tend to forget how bad it was, right? We tend to remember only what we see right now. So anyway, you can keep this one now if you want or not, or you can delete it, but I can't right click to delete it, but just to show you what a difference that editing has made. Okay?
Deanna, should we rename them when we make a duplicate?
I certainly would give it a, call it dash duplicate or underscore or original or something like that. Or edited, just give it a name, or call it cropped if you've cropped it. Okay. All right. Anyone else who wants to share something?
I do. I have a black dog that's impossible to.
Oh. If it's, once again, go ahead and share. If the photo has been taken where the sun is hitting a white t-shirt, for example, and there's nothing there, there's no way to fix it. Similarly, if you have a photograph where the black was not exposed enough and it's just a murky black that has no detail, it's more possible to fix it, but it's not ideal. But let's try.
I cropped it. And
Okay.
yeah.
So go ahead and hit the edit and let's see if it's fixable.
Get it off. Sorry,
Mhm.
that was sitting in front of my edit. There we go.
Okay. So go ahead and go to the black point, which is that, let's just see, move it all the way to the left. And bad news, no matter how much you raise that, it's just, in the photo, it was especially when you see that there's white right next to the dog.
Mhm.
So especially because there is detail in the white, that photo was not taken in a way that the camera just doesn't have. Again, of course, I would like to see what the Photoshop might be able to do with this, because maybe it can do a bit better. But other than that, if this is pure, go to the levels for a second.
Yeah, and I've come in really close on this.
Go to the levels choice.
Level.
Head
Oh,
all the way down to, levels.
And
yeah.
I've really cropped it. I'm in tight on
Keep,
this
keep
photo.
scrolling so I can see the levels. Yeah, see on the left, see that histogram levels are curves anyway. See on the left side, your blacks are already moving all the way up to the top there. That means that they're pretty much clipped, and it would be very hard to get any separation between his head and his body, you know, his ears and his body.
Yeah.
It's just not there. If the photo doesn't have it, you can't invent it. You can enhance it if it's there, but if it's
Right.
not there, it just doesn't.
It's just a problem. He's hard to see.
Yeah.
She's hard to see too. Okay,
Yeah.
I just was curious. Any suggestion for taking the picture then with a black dog?
Yes, you need to expose it longer. You need to change the exposure so that there's more time for all that detail to work, to get exposed into the camera. But here's the negative: since he's on white, then all of this will be blown out, right? So if you have a
Gotcha.
situation where there's black and white, take two photos. One where you expose it more, so you get more exposure and you get the details in the dog's hair, and one where you expose it less, so that, like here, you have detail in the white. In this case, you exposed for the white, it's really good, it's not blown out, but you know, well, you actually have a bit of it blown out there, but the dog is too dark. So then you take two photos, and then in Photoshop you combine them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You need Photoshop, you can't do that here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Apple Photos. You're
Thanks.
welcome. All right. Any other photo anyone's trying or want to see better that I can maybe provide? As I said, the extremes of black without detail or white without detail, rarely fixable. Black without detail is easier to bring stuff into. White without detail, that's just a white blob, that's just not possible. So just don't bother. Same with things that are out of focus. So since no one else is offering up their photos here, let me head over again and share over here. And I think one of this photo is out of focus. Okay. There's just no focus anywhere. You see that? Can you tell that it's all soft and fuzzy? It's just no focus. So if I try to edit that and to add focus here, if I were to try to go to definition and add focus, and I'm going to just max it out to the end, I get, if you actually look at the eyes over here or at his beard over here, it does look like it's a little bit more focused, in particular in the eyes. Look at the eyes over here. It does look like there's more focus, but in reality, all that's happening is you're getting more contrast, and contrast makes us think that something is more focused, right? So, because it brings things more fully in, but focus is still not happening. It's just cheating it a bit to look a little bit more in focus, but it's not necessarily so. You can make it, add a little bit of contrast until it doesn't ruin the photo. So I'm going to go all the way to here. And now between that and that, it does look like it's a little bit more in focus, but you can't fake it. If it's not there, it's not there. You can't just make focus happen. If the camera didn't capture it, it's not there. So some photos are fixable, some are not. Some are enhanceable because it's of people that you love and it's worth doing, but you can't necessarily make it into an awesome picture if you don't have it to start with. All right. The one thing I haven't talked about, it was white balance. And that's because it's a little bit more tricky to explain to people who are new to this, but notice these two pictures here. I'm going to expand this one and this one. And yes, one is out of focus and one is not. Oh, they're both live. Oh, these are the ones that I did the bounce on. So they're going to bounce a lot. Okay, so let's forget making them bigger. I'm going to just do this so that we can see them here. But can you see this is the exact same keyboard? Exact same keyboard. Do you see what a different color they are? This one's kind of yellowish, and this one's a little bit more what we would think is more grayish or bluish. So this is just that it was taken. Yes, one is out of focus, one is not, but never mind. The whole point, I was testing the camera the other day. When you guys, I was showing you guys in class how to get a bounce, I guess, like when I took these two. And all it is the camera is pointing a slightly different way because it's even the exact same moment, I believe. Let me see if I get the info. I did them one after the other, I think. So this is February 16, 6/16, and this is 6/60/23. So I don't know if I turn on a light or if I just move the camera a little bit, but it's the same keyboard. But as you guys can see, it looks like it's a different, made out of a different material. So this is what we talk about when we talk about how neutral gray or a tone without a color cast. This is much warmer. We'd say this is much colder. So can you fix this? Yes, this you can try to do your best to fix these with something called white balance. So I'm going to double click on this one, which I hate that it's the bouncy one, but is it going to let me edit it without bouncing? Oh my God, I'm going to have to turn the loop off. There we go. That was the one that I had turned into a loop in the edit. So it's not so out of focus now that it's a loop. Okay. So if I'm looking at my keyboard right now, the same light that I have turned on right now, my keyboard looks kind of yellowish. That's because the light that's falling on it, because of the light that's coming from the ceiling, is kind of yellowish, even though I know in my brain that this should be white, right? Because it's a white Apple keyboard. If I'm going to say done to that and open the next one. If I look at this one, take these bounces off. This one is actually the one that was a little bit more out of focus. It looked the other way around before. Oh, it's just that I have when I was moving it around, that's one. So when I look at this one, that yellow cast that I had before is gone. Now it's a bit more like a bluish cast or almost a little magenta-ish cast, right? So, God, I need to clean this keyboard. Okay, so let me start on this one. And one way to work on things when you have this kind of issue is, I'm going to close these guys, and is going into the white balance. So white balance is going to help us try to make this a bit more neutral. As usual, a lot of it has to do with the screen that you have or don't have, whether you have a screen that's color corrected or not. So what you see is very yellow might be looking normal, but what I'm seeing is blue, for someone else is looking green. Depends on how your computer screen is looking. And I say this always, I remember when you go into a TV store and you look at many TVs at the same, you know, how they play the same movie all across the board, and then one looks different than the other. That's just how each one of those screens is calibrated. It's not that the movie is showing or in different colors. It's just how each screen is showing it. So all you guys might be seeing the colors a little bit differently. But in my case, I'm seeing that it's a little bit yellowish. It doesn't look like it's neutral. So over here, see how it says this thing down here says warmth? That's precisely, if I go further to the right, it's going to make it warmer. See how it's a bit yellower here? And further to the left, it's going to make it colder. See how it's a little bit blue? I don't know if you can tell, this is a bit bluer than that. So I can head over further to the right and it's going even more and more yellow. Or I can start heading to the left and the yellow is disappearing. It's going bluish. Now, which one's more correct? Well, it depends. If I really look at the light that I have in the moment, I might think that this is more correct. But in reality, it's the capture, the light captures, camera captures a light that isn't realistic. Our eyes know it's supposed to be white. This is a white keyboard. So you need to try to neutralize the photo. If you can't do it by eye doing this, then one tool that this gives us is this little eyedropper again. And then you need to choose some area that I want to be neutral, and I click on that, and I just did. And so then the computer kind of decides, well, that's what's neutral if you think this should be neutral gray. So you try to click on something that you think should be neutral gray and click on that, and it gives you a certain correction. And each time I click on something else, if I think this should be neutral gray, it fixes it one way or another, right? So you do your best, or you try to eyeball it a little bit. Now, I think I've taken some of that warmth off. If I say done and done, see how they're matching a little bit better than before? Before, this one was very yellow and this one was more neutral. And now I have managed to take some of that yellow out so that they look like they're the same keyboard. Let me once again duplicate this one to show you the difference. And let me take the corrections off of this one and revert to original. And here you can see that this is the yellow that I had, and this is the correction I made so that these two now look more similar. I took some of that yellow out of it. Okay, so that's considered white balance. So when you have, like over here, there's a lot of yellow and magenta in this image. If I were to fix that, those faces might look a bit more human. Okay, so that helps. On Yolanda's photo, that was the old photo of the kids like in a kindergarten. That all these old photos tend to take on a very big magenta cast. So if you can take some magenta off, sometimes you can fix the photo. So if I go and try to neutralize this, it might help make these people look a little bit more alive. Anyway, those are just, I don't know if this did anything to it, but it's just an idea. I think it's looking a bit better than before. All right. So keep playing around with photos. Oh, snow is a typical one that we know it's snow. But if you really look at the photograph, this is a pretty darkish gray, and it's got a blue cast, a greenish cast. So if you try to fix it automatically, the computer doesn't know it's snow. So it doesn't know what to do. So the white balance tool is pretty good for things like snow, where it makes things more neutral. Or in this case, where there's no need for color, I can just go ahead and turn it into a black and white photo. And then my white is truly white, right? And then I give it more contrast or not. So that's another solution for snow. So this was before and after, before and after. And so that blue that it had before, now it doesn't have that blue anymore. Okay, anyway.
Go.
I gotta go. Is it 7:12? Yep, it's almost time. So keep playing around, bring up some other photos that you can fix, try them out, rotate them, crop them, try to fix them a little bit. And then remember, the only things that are completely unfixable are if you have extreme color, like this is a big old blown out window in front of a dark inside. There's virtually no chance you're going to be able to fix that. But as long as it's not blown out black or white, you should be able to fix it enough to make it better. And it would be so cool to see some good photos. And I know that Ed has some good photos under his belt, and I can bring in some photos in here that are actual good photos and see what a good photo looks like when it's enhanced to make it really better versus a bad photo to make it passable. All right. Play around. That's your homework. Edit some photos, bring in some more photos into this. And we're going to, surprisingly enough, when I asked you in the past, a lot of people didn't want to do much video editing. But when I asked at the beginning, remember I had you guys fill in a little poll. There was a lot of you guys who wanted to do work with video editing. So we have 2 classes left, even though we have 3 weeks left, because we have next week, then we have a week break, spring break, and then we have another class. So normally I don't do video editing until the last class, but given your guys's request, I'm thinking I'm going to bring in some video next class. And although I have just a minute left to talk to you guys, homework beyond fixing some more photos, have some pieces of video. So make another folder over here and have video for movie, right? Maybe you want to take some of the videos that you already have, right? Go into your media types and look at your videos and go, I want to edit this one. I'm going to just put them in there. Or better yet, go and take some videos with your cameras and film some things that you can then put together to make a movie. So what I mean by that is you might decide that you take different videos of your dog when you're walking him, and now you see him walking on the beach, and then you see him sleeping, and then you see him playing around when you're offering him a treat, and then you put them together and you have a little 2 minutes of 3 or 4 little clips of him, but videos of your dog, right? Or something like that. A favorite plant. Try to have a 3 to 5, minimum of 3, and between 3 to 10, whatever, but 3 to 5 clips that might be able to make a tiny little story when you're done. Maybe it's a trip you did and you're putting together a video from 3 different places, and then you call it, oh, my trip to Italy or something like that. Okay, Leon? All right. Ideally not too long, in the sense that it's, well, as long as you want, because what we can do is we can edit them. So I'm saying ideally not too long, because when you take videos on cameras, they take up a lot of photo space, right? So if you're taking these videos to do this, maybe try to keep them to a few shorter ones so that you don't take up so much. Now, if what you're doing is a video that you do want, because you really do want a little video of your dog, then go ahead and do 10 or 15 clips that are long. But for the class, we're not going to spend a lot of time dealing with long clips. It's better to have some smaller ones so that we can complete a little video that maybe is a total of 1 or 2 minutes long, and not like a 10-minute one that we just won't have the time to handle all the corrections. We're going to just have something, we're going to put a little bit of sound, a bit of music, some sound effects, a title, an ending, stuff like that, to make a little, you know, however long you want, because you can keep working on it and make yourself your 10-minute video. And then you, with me, you start the 5 minutes. All right. So as long as you want. All right.
Go, 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 go.
Have fun.
You have fun. Bye.
You
I
have
will.
fun,
I will.
Deanna.
Thank
You're
you.
the-
Good night. Thank you.
See you in a
Night,
week.
Deanna, you're the best.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye.